is really in the midst of so much right now, getting our housing assignments ready to go for all of your students. So there's a lot going on there. So Ray's kind of here in case any questions pop up about residence life, and we need to address them right away. So thank you so much, Ray, for being here tonight. We also have one of our alumni, Wayne Lonstein. He's from the class of 1982, and he will be talking a little bit about his experience, and also he's a legacy parent too. So his son, Ethan Lonstein, graduated in 2017, so he's a very recent grad, probably had a lot of the same experiences that you guys are anticipating your student to have. So we're here to just kind of facilitate this conversation and get Wayne on board talking a little bit about what his experience has been like. We do also have another graduate, Mike Scott. Like I said, I think he might be having a little bit of trouble joining, but hopefully we can get him on and he can chat about his experience too. He has a son that is currently a student at Wilkes. So I just want to go over a little bit about how we envision the session to go. I'm going to ask Wayne to talk a little bit, like I said, about his experience. And then of course, we want to make sure that any questions that you have get answered. So please make sure to get your questions ready. You can either ask them through the chat. So the chat feature is either in the bottom or the top of your screen, depending on what kind of device you're using. And then you can just ask them live. So you can unmute yourself and ask it live. That's fine as well. I think that might be all of the housekeeping items I have. I don't want to drone on too long here. Wayne, if it would be okay, I'm going to kick it over to you, and maybe you could just introduce yourself and tell a little bit about your experience as a Wilkes parent and as a Wilkes grad.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jackie, and I appreciate the privilege of being asked to be here, and to all the parents who are, have their children, their young adults actually coming in this year. It's certainly been a very interesting time. I'm sure you all have a lot of questions. I also have a son who is departing for college this year as well. So we're having the same trepidations and questions, but we're trusting in that we'll all figure out and get through it. So if you have any questions at any point, or just let Jackie or Jess or Ray to tell me to shut up. But, I went to Wilkes from 1978 to 1982. I have to tell you that at the time, it was very rigorous. Some people actually call it the Harvard of the Susquehanna River. I mean, it was really a very hard academic program. And I know it's still got its very good reputations in a lot of the areas of business and things like that. I actually sit on the business advisory board now for the school, but it was a wonderful place back then. It was nothing like that campus that exists today. I mean, this campus has just absolutely exploded with so many great things that I am truly jealous that I did not get the chance to do that. And but what they did is they made the campus in such a way now that it didn't lose the flavor. So I don't know if any of you have, your children are going to be attending and living on campus with Ray, but, there are traditional dorms such as Evans Hall and the high-rise building, I forget the name of it, which my son lived in most of his time. But there are also the kind of smaller facilities, the homes, the former beautiful homes that I just mentioned, Ray, are just incredible. And I had the privilege of living in one of them for 2 years, and I thought it was a wonderful experience. I mean, just incredible buildings. But that was one of the great things. And then there was a great mix with parents who may have students who are commuters, because there was a nice interplay, whether it's through athletics or clubs. Everybody got to meet everybody. And it resulted in me actually having, relationships. I'm from New York State originally. I'm still here. But the Wilkes-Barre area, my two youngest children went to a prep school in Kingston at Wyoming Seminary. And as I said, our oldest son graduated from Wilkes. So it was very attractive to us and still is. And I would say that as a parent and also as a graduate, because I thereafter went to law school in New York, and later in life went back and got 2 different degrees, one at Penn State and one at Syracuse. And nothing rivaled the hands-on personal touch at Wilkes. So, and that's not just to say, hey, you made a good decision. I mean, it's a great school. What they do with the first generation people in terms of getting them into school and allowing them to attend is just incredible. And I commend you on your decision to enroll your kids there. You're not going to be able to hide at Wilkes. And for somebody like me, somebody like my son, that's good. It forces you to engage. And I see that hopefully, hi, Mike. Mike's on live, so maybe he'd like to jump in too.
Sure. Yeah, Wayne, thank you so much for
Pleasure.
a little bit of background. Mike, welcome, and thank you for joining us. We were just kind of doing some introductions. Maybe if you wouldn't mind, you could introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your student's experience. Like I said, Mike does have a student, Lucas Scott, that's actually at Wilkes right now. So maybe you could just talk a little bit about your experience as a Wilkes parent. Mike, can you hear us? I think he might be frozen.
Yeah, it looks like it goes up.
It's not working?
Oh, there, I can hear you now.
Might be a bit of bandwidth, maybe if Mike kills his video.
Yeah, maybe if you try turning your video off, Mike, maybe that could work. And let's see. Yeah, it looks like I'm getting an
Is that
error.
better?
Yeah, that's much better.
Okay. You don't need to see me anyway. Hey, Wayne, how are you?
Good, Mike. Good to see your face. Hope you're well.
Doing fine. Hopefully all's well with you up there in the Albany Capital District there.
Yep. Yeah, hanging in.
It's better every day. So, like I was saying before, my son, our oldest, firstborn, decided he wanted to go to Wilkes after his second visit. He was a football player, lacrosse player, really fell in love with the campus, but what sold him, I don't know if we have any football players to be here, but was the team tailgates after the game. He was all about the food and the camaraderie and the togetherness of the team. And that really is what sold him on the school athletically. Academically, he's in the honors program, little.
Mike, I think you're cutting out again.
Be part of the problem.
Last we heard, though, was that Lucas is in the honors program.
I could probably jump in a little bit because at least just on the side of the athletics, Mike and I know each other through that, and what sold his son is what brought my other son there and may bring my youngest son there. The facilities they built are incredible. I mean, the new football field and now Bruggeworth baseball and soccer fields are are incredible. Anybody who sees that, I mean, it's just wonderful. And when I was there, they had 6 lights on the scoreboard, so when the time change happened, they would turn on the lights, and that's all you had. It's like playing under flashlights. So it's really, they've done a great job. And just the flood control area, they've now had those cut throughs, and really, it's a great thing. And although it may get a little cold in the winter with the wind on that, it's a great campus. And so he also mentioned, Mike, about some of the relationships. My teammates, we're still friends. I have guys who were Secret Service agents and all sorts of great people graduating from Wilkes, and we're all still friends, supporting each other, and it's a great camaraderie. In fact, the director of the National Security Council is currently a Wilkes grad as well. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Bill, but there's some very impressive people who have graduated from that university. Me, the least of them, but there's some really good people. So you're not making a mistake, and there's a great alumni network as well. So when your kid gets out of school, there's somebody to help find them jobs. And I know I think it was The Economist, what's the best bang for the buck and what do you earn when you get out of Wilkes? It's really fabulous in terms of the value of the education. So.
Well, that certainly is true. Wayne, thank you for bringing up some of those things. Yes, The Economist did rate us 25th in the nation for economic value. So that's a wonderful stat to bring up. And I just want to maybe turn it over to our parents to see if anyone has any questions at this point. Anything specific that our alumni can address, or that any of us in admissions or residence life can address. We're here and happy to help you in any way. So like I said, you could either do that via the chat, or you could just unmute yourself and ask the question live. Either option is fine. I have a question from Susan. She's asking when housing assignments are coming out. Ray, I don't know if you can maybe address that one and just talk a little bit about that if possible.
Well, if I can't address that question, we're in real deep trouble. Housing assignments, we're shooting for July 31st, no later than July 31st, when housing assignments will go out. And your students will want to check their Wilkes email address. We'll send out information about housing, reminders about moving, how to find out who your roommates are and how to contact them. All that sort of stuff will go out in that email. Like I said, no later than July 31st. Your students will already have placeholder charges on their accounts, so that we made sure to issue charges for housing, so that your students' bills were accurate. But you'll see, your students will see a refund of that placeholder charge and then their actual housing charge once they get their assignment. And for most students, that's exactly the same as most students. First-year students are in the double or triple option, and that rate is the same as the placeholder charge you already have. But again, we try to do that so that your bills are accurate when you're doing that sort of stuff. So yeah, if you have any other questions about that, let me know.
Awesome, Ray, thank you so much. Zana asked if there's a parent-run Facebook group that can give us newbies tips and tricks and other information as the year progresses. At this point, we don't have something like that. We have a Facebook group for our parents of the class of 2024 and 2026 if they're a pharmacy student. So that currently is the only Facebook group that we have, but that's a great idea, and maybe something that we can work on for this coming year for you, some of our incoming families. We also have our resource. It's called Campus ESP. So in the meantime, if there's something that, you know, that could maybe be a placeholder, I guess, for this Facebook group. We do have a sign up for that. So basically how our campus ESP works is it's like almost like a newsletter and like a portal for parents. So first year parents or any parent of current student can log in, and they can check and see the latest news, some different articles that we have posted. And Ray actually was super helpful and just added a login or a sign in. So it's really easy to sign up and get that information, and this information just comes directly to your inbox. So like I said, it's you know, maybe some sort of placeholder in the meantime until we get like a Facebook group like that up and running. I think that's a great you know, something great to think about, especially for this year when our families and parents probably have so many questions for us. So thank you for that, Zana. There is another question from Susan. Will there be triple housing this semester? And Ray, maybe you could take that one.
You got it. So we will have triple rooms, but only for students that specifically request triple roommate groups. So if your student has specifically requested a roommate, well, 2 roommates, and has gone through the process of confirming those selections, then they will be in a triple. We will honor those roommate groups, but we're not going to put any students in triple rooms that didn't ask specifically for a triple.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for that. I really, really appreciate that. And I think that answers all of the questions. I also just want to add a link to our parent Facebook group. I'll add that in the chat. If anyone here hasn't joined that group, feel free and we can approve you right away. So like I said, that's for the class of 2024 and 2026 parents. We like to keep the parent group and the student group separate, just in case you know, students maybe want to share a little bit more about themselves and kind of, you know, get started with that college, you know, branching out a little bit. So I will share that now. We also have a question from Janine about a parent weekend event planned in the fall, just looking maybe for some dates to try to save. And Ray, I don't know if you know anything about that, but in terms of like a traditional parents weekend, I don't think we've made any decisions just quite yet on what that might look like. Obviously, there is going to be some sort of welcome weekend as students come back. So that'll be right around the start of classes, right before. But as of right now, in terms of like a parents weekend, I think we traditionally hold that in maybe November. I don't know at this point. So much is changing and so quickly. I'm not sure if everyone here is from Pennsylvania or from out of state, but our governor has just placed some additional restrictions on our state. So we've been trying to adjust and pivot and plan as best we can with the things that are changing. So I know that's not a great answer. And Ray, I see you've taken yourself off mute. I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, last I heard from my colleague in student development that handles that, is that we won't be doing an on-campus parents or family day. We call it family day at Wilkes, and we won't be doing an in-person one. We're considering one for the fall or for the spring semester, depending on how things go for the spring. And they're also exploring, you know, potential virtual options to continue to engage, so that families can engage with Wilkes. But I know that we won't have an in-person one for the fall.
Thanks for that clarification.
I do know also.
I have a question.
Sure.
I'd have my voice on here now.
That's great.
If my student is over 18, will parents be notified at all if there's any COVID-related activity or anything on campus that we should be worried about, or will that all that communication go strictly through our adult children?
Now, in terms of that, I mean, we try to keep everyone updated. Like Ray mentioned, that campus ESP, that parent portal is really, really helpful and great for announcements. So we do have that available. We try to push out all of our announcements through that. So that's been really helpful. And I myself signed up for it just because I wanted to see kind of what comes out. And it seems like all of the campus announcements that will go to students, faculty, staff are almost the same announcements that are going to through campus ESP. So I would highly recommend signing up for something like that, because you'll get all of the announcements that are happening, and we try to do it as quickly as possible.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. I have another comment here from Janine. She's saying, my daughter loved bingo and the prizes. Oh, thank you so much for that activity to get the new students engaged in Wilkes. Of course, we are trying as hard as we can to still engage all of our students in any way possible. That's so important for us to try to do that and to try to give them the Wilkes experience regardless of this situation. This is not going to last forever. So it's really important that we, start that process now and make sure that all of our students feel as comfortable as possible and also are excited about college. I mean, it's still college. It's still going to be a fun time. So we want to make sure that that's happening. And I don't know if Mike or Wayne, if you guys have any, if you want to weigh in on anything about how your student's been feeling. Wayne, I know your student has graduated now, but he's still a little bit younger and probably closer in age to this population. So I don't know if either of you want to share anything about
that. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, because I'm, like I said, I'm of the technical era that if it doesn't work, you hit it with a hammer. So, like I said, for Luke, it's been a very trying since March, since he's been home. Everything he's done has been geared towards going back there in the fall, being healthy, and being ready to be a part of campus. He's working a couple jobs. He's taking a course at the local community college online. Everything is remote learning right now. I really feel like in talking to him, he's ready to go back. He needs to get away from here. He really had a
Sorry, Mike, I think you're cutting out again. And Wayne, I see you taking yourself off mute too. I don't know if there's anything you want to add.
No, I would echo what Mike has said. I mean, first of all, our oldest graduate still works in Wilkes-Barre. He works at a car dealership there, so he's monitoring that. And for the parents who are asking about the COVID situation, what we've done is, because we have another child who's going back to prep school down there is, I think it was the Times leader, but Luzerne County has a daily report on, the COVID activity in the county. So we kind of follow that. You can certainly, I don't have the link on hand, but I know if you go to Times Leader, there's a link in there to the latest COVID activity. So that was pretty good. It was reassuring. I think the numbers have really settled down. And, with respect to, my son who's leaving for college, he wants, he's playing baseball. He's a football player too. And because of his baseball success, the coach says you're not going to play football. And he's very lucky because, we don't know what's up with football in the fall in some of the schools. And if your child is in the situation of, being an athlete and playing athletics, one of the great things is the D3 setup at Wilkes, there's not a great amount of where you have a scholarship athlete, especially in baseball now, who didn't play baseball their senior year, and they have now automatically been awarded a redshirt season. So your incoming freshman athlete would actually be running into a roadblock at a D1 or D2 school that actually will force them to, basically be a redshirt student and require them, if they want to play the full time, to probably end up being a 5-year student. So the flexibility of the small college is really very valuable there as well. Hopefully that, is helpful to some of the parents.
Touching on what Wayne was touching on, again, I don't know if you can hear me, but the football program had a meeting with all the parents on Saturday evening, and I'm very, very impressed with the handling of the whole situation between the university, the football program, the Mid-Atlantic Conference, and it's my understanding like that Dr. Adams is the chairperson for the MAC, which is another great honor that we have our vice president of the university overseeing this committee that's going to dictate what happens this year as far as intercollegiate football and athletics in our conference. I know that the school is taking painstaking measures and doing everything physically possible to make this experience for the athletes go. And if they don't get 5 games in at the end before the season's called for whatever reason, each of those players gets another year of eligibility. So they're not losing anything. And the whole time they're still on campus, they're getting the campus activities in, they're in class. The restriction or the not restrictions, but what we've been told how the university is going forward with in-person classes. Everything that they've done has been geared towards our children's protection. And, that to me, again, being a graduate of Wilkes University, Wilkes College when I first started, like you, Wayne.
I left at Wilkes. I left at Wilkes College too.
Yeah,
so.
I started at Wilkes College and left at Wilkes University. I wish we had a photo array of what it looked like then compared to what it looks like now. And then to see some of the people that were there when we were there, still there now, and still making sure that their sole focus is the well-being and the health and safety of the students, and going to the extents that they go to make sure that they safeguard everybody at the university, from somebody that works in the maintenance department to the president of the university. Everybody's treated the same. And you made a great choice by bringing your children to this university, especially in this uncertain time.
I concur in that as well. And I saw somebody asked about one of the parents about the intramural sports. That was another great part of Wilkes. Mike, I don't know if you recall, but because you were an athlete in one season, you were still allowed to participate in intramurals in another season. That may have been more fun.
It was. You got to be referees during the football games because you couldn't play football. That was the rule. Yeah. If you were a football player, you had to referee. So, and by the way, that was work study, so you got paid. Yeah.
So, and then the new facility only augments that, because I know they play the sports over at the facility. So my youngest son, who actually was going to attend that virtual junior day with the football program, just looks at the facility down, in Edwardsville and says, I could play there. I could play football there. So it's really good.
Again, touching on what you said earlier, where we've come to with all those fields compared to where we were, it just, again, between the campus, just the incredible green space that's there now. When I was there, it was all parking lots and treadles.
Yep.
If you pulled in the wrong way, you got a flat tire. There was nothing. It was an inner city setting, and to look at it now, it's just every time I walk through there, I see something new that I missed the last time. And to be a young man or young woman on that campus right now, it's a good time to be there. It really is.
Yeah, I would concur in that. And there's a great, for parents, Mike and I played, but even before I played there, the football tradition, and of course we're talking about football because of what we did, but way back when I was there, Wilkes was a Division I wrestling program. So, you know, little Wilkes would have the University of Tennessee come in, and it was just amazing, the reputation. And they still have a tournament there, the Wilkes Open around Christmas time, that's referred to as the Rose Bowl of Wrestling. And they had a national qualifier for the Olympic team live streamed globally out of Wilkes because of the rich wrestling history. So it really has a wonderful, wonderful, long-lasting, you know, reputation, and women's sports as well. There's been some just incredible coaches. So, you know, it's got a rich history. And as I said, even the intramurals, you know, they just, I guess, informally, sometimes it's about dorms will do it, but you also have the commuter involvement. So they'll pick up teams. I think there's signups, and I don't know if there's Jackie or Jess, how they do that now. Do you sign up and then they form teams, or is it kind of ad hoc where students choose what team they're on?
Yeah, so actually Ray was really helpful, and there's actually students can create the teams on their own if they're interested, which is really, really cool. So they can choose what they'd like to do, or if there's something that's already there, they can get involved, which is great. I don't believe they have to try out. You know, we just want to make sure people are doing all the things that they want to do in their college experience, if that makes any sense. So I have a couple of other questions. I want to pivot a little bit. So we answered our question about intramural sports. There's information around campus that may look a little different, but there's also announcements that go out to the students' Wilkes email. A great resource that you may or may not hear your student talk about, but you may want to mention to them is our Wilkes Today. So basically, this is an email that goes out every single day to, you know, faculty, staff, and also students. And there's a lot of great information in there. You can find out a lot about what's happening on campus. You know, because it is a daily email, sometimes people, you know, may become accustomed to it and may not read it as frequently as they should, but it is really a great resource for a lot of information. So if your student you know, hasn't mentioned that to you, or you haven't heard about it, maybe mention it to them, because like I said, it is a wonderful resource on finding out information about just anything on campus.
Jackie, can I add in on that?
Sure.
It's a great resource, because I would yell at my son Ethan, who graduated. I said, why aren't you going to this job fair that I saw in Wilkes today? So it's a great way for a parent to call, like, kind of BS on their kids. Really? I know this is going on. So that's a great suggestion.
And again, something like any like really big announcements, we're going to, that's going to be on Campus ESP, so you won't miss any of that. And again, it's a great way. I mean, obviously all of you are very engaged families. So I'm sure that you'll be on top of that. You've probably already signed up if you haven't already. So I feel like that is a great resource too for any of those really big announcements, like Wayne said, the job fair or something else. There is another question about meals in the cafeteria and what those are going to look like. So I did post an answer there. As of right now, it looks like, you know, everything will be open. You know, it's going to be a little bit limited or different, and just kind of making sure that everyone can get what they need in terms of the food that we're offering and that we're providing. But you know, all guests will have their meals plated for them, as opposed to self-serve lines. So that's going to be kind of what looks a little bit different. And all of our other on-campus locations like Greens to Go, Which, Grow Work, Starbucks in the Pod will be open and offering regular services. There probably just won't be any dine-in options in those locations, so I would just be aware of that. And there's just a little more information about reduction that we've offered to our students and the credit. So if anyone has any questions about that, I think Jess also did post the COVID campus information updates there. So if there's any questions on that, I would again highly recommend going to that webpage too, because that's constantly updated as things change.
Jackie, did anyone touch on? I'm sorry, go ahead, Ray.
I was going to say I can jump in a little bit more on the dining and then the question
Great.
about move-in as well.
Thank you.
So we will still have opportunities for folks to eat in the Henry's Cafe, which is our all-you-care-to-eat facility that students have unlimited access to. There'll be less seats on the third floor as we are following the mandates from the governor on social distancing. We'll have other spaces set up in the student center for students to eat as well. And since their meal plans are unlimited, they can go back through the line as many times as they want in that dining facility. If students don't want to eat there and want to take their food back to their room or somewhere else on campus, there will be to-go options available for every student as well that wants it. So that will certainly be available. Susan asked about move-in day, and so you can go ahead, if you want to right now, visit our move-in day webpage, wilkes.edu/move-in day, where it talks a little bit about the schedule for first year move-in, some tips, to how we're going to navigate this year's move-in. But basically, we've spaced out move-in for first year students over 2 days. And students will be assigned a move-in time over on one of those 2 days to come to campus. And then we're asking students to not bring more than 2 guests with them to assist with move-in. And Susan, I preach this every year, is less is more, right? I think in any given year, first year students want to take everything they have from their home and bring it with them to college. And they just don't need to do that. So if you can take one tip away from this, it's to really help your student be critical about, do I really need to bring this? Or, is it something I can leave at home and not take with me? The other thing to keep in mind too is that we'll be ending our semester in person by Thanksgiving. And so we really don't get into the super cold weather yet. So you don't have to bring your entire winter wardrobe with you either. As you can exchange some of those clothes out for the warmer time after the spring semester, and bring them the colder weather clothing back for the spring semester. So check out that move-in day website. Your students' housing assignment or move-in day assignment, what time they can move in, will be included with your housing assignment when you get that information at the end of July.
Right, thank you so much for that info. And I did post a link in case anyone had questions. You can click on it from there, or you can, open it in your browser separately. But yes, there's one other question about if there's any ideas for development or planning to tailor social activities for adding in social distancing. And looking for creative approaches to manage to get the kids involved, engaged, and safe. That is a priority for sure. We have a COVID task force, and then every department has its own COVID recovery team that reports up to the task force. So we are always thinking about this. It's like I said earlier, it's still college, and we really need to figure out a way to engage our students, make sure that they're having fun, getting all that they can out of college, and then also they're still staying safe and being within our guidelines. So we have probably almost everyone on campus is working on this in some way. So I think it's safe to say that we are definitely thinking about it. It's just a little bit difficult to maybe announce some of those plans at this point when we are just trying to kind of stay within the governor's orders and then also pivot with any changes that may come about. So before the school year, of course, even starts. So there's a lot going on, but rest assured, we are constantly thinking about it. Like I said, we probably have almost every single person on campus thinking about this, and it's one of the things that probably keeps us all up at night. So definitely that's a priority. I have another question here from Susan. Will on-the-go options be the same that are offered in Henry's? Will they be able to have some better options to take with them if they choose not to eat indoors? And I see Ray shaking your head yes, if you want to elaborate on that.
Yeah, absolutely. They'll be the same options. They'll be able to just bring their food with them in a to-go container. That's the plan right now.
Yep, and I know that there's some students on campus now. We have some international students, and we were there for visits last week, and they were picking up their lunch. So there's already a process in place, and I feel like it's already kind of happening at a small scale. So we're getting ready and prepared for a larger scale come late August. So any other questions? Like I said, we're happy to answer them. And Mike and Wayne, I don't know if you guys have anything to add. I want to, obviously be respectful of everyone's time and their dinner time. So please, like I said, any other questions or any final thoughts, just feel free to chime in.
I mean, did anyone touch on like the academic services that are available? Because I was late to the party here, but I know like Luke was big in going into the English lab, helping him with his papers and things like that. The different, study tables and study halls that were available to him. All those things are there. And, the athlete, non-athlete, it doesn't matter who you are. I mean, the writing lab's huge. You have people in there that'll sit down with you and break your paper down and not write it for you, but give you all the tools you need so that you can actually be an effective college writer, because some people just don't have that ability when they come in. I know I didn't back in the day. It took a couple trips. So there's a lot of academic support that's there. All you got to do is ask for it. The kids
absolutely
can't be afraid.
Mike, thank you so much for bringing that up. We also do have our, if your student is undecided in their major, we have a whole team of people in University College that can help with guiding your student in the right direction. So sometimes your student comes in with a major and then wants to change or needs some additional support. Usually the advisor is their advisor in their previous major. So perhaps a university college is another great way to explore some other options. Mike, that was a great point about the Writing Center. That's available to all of our students. So is University College. All of our services are available to all students. So you need to know where to look and you need to know where to go, but we are open books here at Wilkes and happy to help any of our students succeed. Mike, was there anything else you wanted to add on academics? That was such a great thing to bring up.
I just, I know from my personal experience when I was there that, the office hours were always followed, and you spend a lot of time, different courses over the course of my time at Wilkes. When you need the extra help, the professors are there for you. They hold their office hours. They're there, and I got a lot of extra insight and a lot of extra knowledge through spending 15, 20, 25 minutes during office hours outside of the classroom setting with different professors. It was very, looking back on it now, I mean, I wish I would have spent a little more time in there. You pick up a lot of knowledge from some very, very smart individuals. I mean, there's some leaders in our fields, different fields at the university that they're unsung heroes. You don't hear about them. Some of the things that they're involved in outside of, unless, you're in that specific field of study, like the engineering department. I know there's a lot of different things going on there, which I was a business major. I got out of Wilkes and I worked 20 years in the adult beverage industry as a salesperson and worked territories and worked for the #1 wholesaler in the United States. And I was equipped to do that from the interactions I had with my business professors and taking public speaking and doing all the things I needed to do to get myself ready, for my future. you don't know what it's going to be until it happens. But having that time with each professor, I'd like to name a few of them, but I'm sure by now most of my guys have moved on. Although my son had Dr. Charnetsky, I had Dr. Charnetsky. That's a little scary. He's been there a long time. He's a psychology professor, great guy. I know that for his physics lab, he had Dr. Plasek as his physics teacher. He was my professor when I took physics.
Mine too.
Yeah, I mean, there's some great guys. Right, there's some pedigree right there. There's some great individuals, and they're still at it. It just shows that the passion they have for learning and teaching.
I wanted to jump in and kind of, Mike had some great points. I have one thing that if I had a do-over with Wilkes College and Wilkes University, I would have availed myself of that incredible business sort of function. I was in political science and history, and it was great. And I learned incredible writing skills and everything like that. My one regret is all my friends, and Mike talks about this, now that I'm in the world for 35 years, and the business skills that they all have are really invaluable. Even if it's just selective, take advantage of that. If your child can, it's really incredible. And also the cooperative, I don't know if they still do it, the internships and things off of campus. They have a lot of great relationships. I know I did some of it with a couple things, and great experiences. Also, a great way to learn.
The mentoring program is another thing that, that's coming along pretty solid. I'm officially mentoring a couple kids that, they needed a little guidance beyond what the realm of what they were looking to do is. And I get phone calls now. So I'm getting grade reports from three kids besides my own, which is kind of fun. I spent the weekend with one of the young men this weekend, had a ball. Everything going back to the campus life, everything that I experienced, the best man in my wedding was a buddy of mine from Wilkes. The 4 ushers out of the 5 were guys I played football with at Wilkes. Every October we get together. We used to go to homecoming, but it's not as much as it used to be. But every August or September we spend a week on the Thousand Islands together. In the winter, we spend a weekend up in Casanova in upstate New York together. Weddings, funerals. My best friends on this earth are the guys that I met there, guys and girls. And I see that for my son now because, like I said, he had a few of his friends show up this weekend, and it reminded me of my time there. If I had it to do over again, besides paying attention, radio like this, I'd be the oldest RA on record. I'd still be an RA. I'd still be living on campus, taking as many classes as I could.
Well, thank you for those awesome memories and those stories. That's great. I just wanted to touch quickly on the Center for Career Development and Internships. We have now expanded that into a complete center for its own, so it kind of stands alone, and there's so many opportunities at Wilkes. We have an amazing internship program. And again, this is something you can learn from signing up through Campus ESP. So definitely do that. Like I said, I think Wayne maybe mentioned it. We have the job fair. This is all about your student, obviously getting to know themselves, having a college experience, but also getting a job. So that's really important. And I just wanted to mention that students can just either make an appointment with the center, or I don't know if they're going to be allowing walk-ins this fall, but appointments are always preferred, and that would be a great way for your students to just brush up on their resume. Even though they're first-year students, they can get ready for their second year and possibly have an internship. So, and also internships are evolving too. We just have one student is taking an internship actually in Dublin, Ireland. So he's working remotely and getting his internship credit. So all of that is evolving too. even with everything that's happening. So always good to know that we're constantly changing and evolving. Anything else that anyone wants to talk about or chime in? All right, well, I don't want to keep everyone, oh, sorry, Wayne.
Sweet sauce.
Pizza?
If you're not local, I didn't know this, but it was actually on Bleacher Report recently. I think one of the highest score for pizza is locally. I think it's Angelo's, and your kids will learn about it. Certainly carries some carbs, but it's really good. So make sure you try it at one of the places when you do visit.
Yeah, he actually came to Wilkes-Barre, and he did a couple of different places. But yeah, Angelo's and Jerry's were the top, and he didn't get the sweet sauce though. I can't believe it.
I like Sabatini's too.
Oh,
when all of our parents visit, you'll have to do a pizza tour. We're definitely famous for our pizza, and Susan says they're a Sabatini's family, so you guys already know. It's always fun to try a couple different ones. So let's end on a good note here with our food topic. I love pizza, so I'm craving it. Actually, I would love to get some. So thank you guys, Mike and Wayne. Thank you so much for joining tonight. Ray, of course, thank you as well for joining. I think our conversation was really good, and we did put our contact information in the chat. If anyone has any questions, feel free to message us, and we'll get right back to you. So thank you guys again for everything. Have a great night.
Everybody, stay safe. We'll see you somewhere on campus, hopefully.
Thank you very much for all of your time and information.
Thanks all.